So JD Vance arrived in Islamabad about 3 a.m. our time on the East Coast. We don't have much information, and that is very deliberate. Pakistan has already said they're not going to be releasing a lot of information. All we know is that the Iranians arrived last night with a fairly large and multidisciplinary delegation, which means they're ready to negotiate on several fronts. Um, Again, as I've said, amongst the top negotiators are 4 PhDs, some from US universities, some from European universities. They are highly educated, highly trained, highly technical, and very, very seasoned. As Sky News said yesterday, that the Iranian team is highly seasoned and the US team not so much. So let's see how that goes, and if JD Vance has actually included some seasoned State Department officials, we don't know. But anyway, what has happened is that the Iranian delegation met with the Prime Minister of Pakistan bilaterally early this morning, and JD Vance has met with the Prime Minister bilaterally also later on, I think in the afternoon. And from what we can see, all the reporting is that the talks have started. So whether that's indirect talks or direct talks, we don't know, but it's the US, Iran, and Pakistan as the mediator. So that is pretty much all we know. So I thought this morning, because everybody has had such a rough time, preparing ourselves for the failure of this, we are quite surprised and happy that everybody is in Islamabad. So I thought I would start off with a little bit of levity. So in 1954, Dina Shore sang a song called "I'm Gonna Pack Me Off to Pakistan." I don't know the exact provenance of this song, but I thought that it would be a good song for the arrival of JD Vance. So here it is. "I'm Gonna Pack Me Off to Pakistan" by Dina Shore, and in 1954. And I assume at that time Pakistan was so far-fetched that if you really wanted to get away from a love interest who was not showing you enough love, you'd go to a very far-fetched place, and that was Pakistan. So here it is.
I'm gonna pack me off to Pakistan. I'm gonna hop an eastbound caravan. I'm gonna learn to charm a snake or two. I never think of you. I'm gonna pack me off to Pakistan. I'm gonna cool me with a bamboo fan. I'm gonna fill me full of jasmine tea and make you long for me. There'll be no more wondering if you'll call. You can have your 100 other sweethearts. I won't mind at all. So don't give me that disappointed. I'm not another number in your book. I don't intend to be at all so lame. I'm packing off to Pakistan.
There you have it. I'm packing off to Pakistan. Perfect song for JD Vance at this stage. So there we have it. So what else is going on in Pakistan? Well, it seems that the foreign minister of Iran is Pakistan's new aura guy. And why do I say that? Because when the India-Pakistan war broke out, Pakistan's Twitter became legendary, I would say. The memes and the postings were absolutely legendary. Pakistanis coped with potential annihilation, nuclear war, with jokes and memes and a host of entertainment online. And what the Pakistani government and security establishment did quite smartly was completely opened up the internet, which they had blocked actually. But they opened it up and they let people just do what they wanted, and it became quite successful in mocking the war and mocking the opponents and creating memes. And they created an aura guy. And that aura guy was the guy who was speaking on behalf of the Pakistan Air Force, a handsome man who became the aura guy and became the new crush for Pakistan. So now Pakistani Twitter has created a new aura guy. And it turns out they have nominated the foreign minister of Iran, Mr. Araghchi, who is the new aura guy. So Pakistani Twitter is flooded, absolutely flooded with memes about him and tweets about him and how everybody has a crush on this guy who is considered to be cool and calm and sophisticated. So there is that going on. This is how Pakistanis cope with stress. Then there are hundreds and thousands of memes for J.D. Vance. And those memes are about what J.D. Vance can do while he's in Pakistan. And they've got him dressed as a Pakistani. They've got him being stopped by the police because he's, sped up without a helmet on his motorbike. He's gone to malls to buy his wife presents, so on and so forth. And that he's now, his stomach is out because he's eaten so much good food in Pakistan that he's actually having palpitations. So those sort of memes. So anybody interested can go on to Pakistan Twitter and you will see all those memes. It's actually quite hilarious. Islamabad wasn't always the capital of Pakistan. When Pakistan was created and India was partitioned to create Pakistan, the capital was actually Karachi, which is Pakistan's main metropolis of about, I would say, 23 to 24 million people. So thriving metropolis. So the capital was shifted in 1961 from Karachi to a entirely newly created capital called Islamabad. And it was quite a sleepy town, which was a garrison town and full of bureaucrats. So there was nothing much going on in Islamabad, vis-a-vis culture or any excitement, because it's all bureaucratic and a military town, which was attached to another city called Rawalpindi, which is the garrison town. And where the Pakistan military is headquartered. So at that time, it was very much considered, Pakistan was under martial law, military rule. So it was believed that the generals were creating a citadel for themselves, separated from the rest of Pakistan. So indeed, as time went on, the joke became that Islamabad is 10 minutes from Pakistan. John Foster Dulles, who was, I believe, the Secretary of State way back when, said about Islamabad. Islamabad is half the size of Arlington Cemetery and twice as dead. So for a while that was the case, but not today. Today, Islamabad is buzzing with hundreds of journalists, and the Vice President of the United States and the hoi polloi of the security establishment, etc., are there, including, I think, 80 delegates from Iran. Pakistan has provided a very, very plush venue for foreign journalists. They are being fed the most amazing food and drinks, non-alcoholic drinks. They have all sorts of technology at their command, and they are being taken care of just like VIPs and dignitaries. I think Pakistan wants, obviously, the image of Pakistan to look good and also to keep the journalists calm and reporting all of this in a calm and dignified manner. So that I think that strategy works because we're talking about a world war. This is no joke. So, these talks that Pakistan is holding is actually creating trillions of dollars in the world economy. If you look at it, calming the markets is actually a real upside for the world economy. And a Pakistani economist has actually calculated that a couple of $1 trillion have actually been made since Shahbaz Sharif tweeted requests to Donald Trump that a ceasefire should be arranged. Obviously, that was pre-agreed by Washington and the Iranians. But since that moment, the world economy gained about $1 trillion+. So there is that. So very good strategy to keep the world's journalists calm. I want to go back to two more issues. One is back to war crimes. The New York Times has done another investigation that shows that U.S. missiles struck a sports center and residential areas in Iran, killing more children and civilians. At a later time, I will read out the New York Times report, but contrary to what Hegseth has been saying, the New York Times is reporting that U.S. missiles struck those two civilian areas and killed children and killed residents. These are very serious accusations, and honestly, the U.S. comes to these negotiations having committed war crimes. Ghalibaf, who is leading the delegation from Iran, showed us a photograph or released a photograph of the inside of the Iranian plane, and where he had posted photographs of Iranian children and backpacks, seated on the seats of the plane. So he wanted the world to remember that the children had been killed as the first act of the Americans in this war. So yes, so the New York Times has confirming both these incidents, and today they have published an investigation which I will read out at a later date. Another remarkable development, which I will talk about more at a later time, is J Street. J Street was created many years ago as a counterforce to AIPAC. K Street in Washington is where all the lobbyists are. So J Street was created as a more moderate, a more moderate voice to AIPAC. But for the longest time, you couldn't tell the difference between the two. And even during the Gaza genocide, AIPAC was quite loath to criticize Israel, and it took them a very long time to call these matters war crimes, and I don't think they used the word genocide. I'm going to have to go back and research what they had been saying, but slowly, they had been jacking up their criticisms of Israel. And they have also been endorsing candidates now. Yesterday, J Street took a remarkable turn. They have basically said that all military aid should be stopped to Israel. Not just offensive weapons, but also defensive weapons. And as we know, the big debate in the Democrat Party right now is, we should continue to provide the Iron Dome, which is defensive, and maybe take a look at the offensive. But J Street is coming down and saying, no, all weapons to Israel must be stopped. There should be no difference between offensive and defensive. The other thing that they are saying is that there is no other way to stop Israel's aggression across the world. So those are two, big developments: New York Times investigation of further war crimes, and J Street now making this declaration that all weapons should be stopped to Israel. I'll have more to say on that, but for now, all we know is the talks have started, and we don't know much more than that, nor should we, in order to keep this going. And yes, we will see how it all goes. Oh, yes, Pope Leo has asked the world to join a worldwide prayer. And on the East Coast, that worldwide prayer starts at noon if anybody wants to join Pope Leo in praying for peace.